Hello, welcome to Secureframe's external auditor training. My name is Mark, and I'm a previous auditor and currently on Secureframe's compliance team. Our goal today is to explain how organizations use the Secureframe platform and how you, as an external auditor, can retrieve the evidence needed to prove requirements are in place. Let's begin. Access to Secureframe is currently controlled by our customer success team. Once an organization is prepared for audit, your access will either be granted preemptively or the customer will reach out asking for the specific personnel that need access to the Secureframe platform. If you need access to Secureframe and you have not been granted access, or your customer has not reached out, please reach out to the customer success manager dedicated to your customer. Organizations have two types of roles in Secureframe: the administrator with the ability to perform tasks, and the employee who only has the ability to take security awareness training and acknowledge the policies assigned to them. The organization is assigned a customer success manager who is responsible for ensuring the organization is prepared for an audit. The customer success manager is responsible for ensuring the platform reflects the customer's current scope. During scoping, the customer success manager will help ensure all integrations are connected and resources and tests are scoped correctly. Once the customer hits about 90% completion or the audit fieldwork is about to begin, the customer success manager will review uploaded evidence to help determine if the evidence meets the intent of the requirements. This, we believe, will help save you time during your audit fieldwork. Although Secureframe will take a first pass at scoping, it is up to you as the auditor to ensure the platform is indeed configured accurately based on the organization's environment and scope. The first setting I would recommend reviewing are the integrations. In the Integrations tab, you can see which vendors are currently syncing data and which ones may be broken. If an integration is broken, please reach out to the dedicated Customer Success Manager to get the integration resyncing again. There are certain settings that affect the tests in Secureframe that are important to review. In the Cloud Service Provider integration, you can see which regions have been configured to be in scope. In the version control integrations, you can see the testing start date, which should align with the testing window, and which checks are being reviewed by the integration. In the ticketing tool configuration, you can also see a testing start date, as well as other flags that can be configured to automate the evidence collection of things like vulnerability tracking tickets and user change tickets. If there is any missing data here, I would recommend again reaching out to the Customer Success Manager. Next, I would recommend checking the Vendors tab to review the in-scope vendors that can affect the service being audited. If there is a vendor that can impact the sensitive data but does not have a direct integration, it is likely you will need to create a test in Secureframe in order to capture the evidence for this vendor. For example, let's say we have MongoDB used as a database storing sensitive data. Let's say for the assessment, you need to review the logging mechanism associated with any storage of sensitive data. First, we'll go to the framework. We'll then go to the framework requirement and the framework requirement related to that specific test. Next, we'll see if there are any Secureframe created controls that we can add a test to. Then within this control, we'll add a custom test related to the logging of access for this vendor, for example. Secureframe's integrations also allow for samples to be selected from within the platform itself by reviewing the population of data that's been imported. You can see on the Personnel tab You can see here the date in which personnel were hired and terminated if an HR integration is connected, as well as the full list of current employees. On the asset inventory page, you can see all of the workstations if an MDM is integrated. And then on the cloud resource page, you can see all of the types of systems that are being pulled in from the cloud service provider integration. Here, you can filter by asset type and select a sample based on this population. Let's say you wanted to select a sample of all of the EC2 instances, and then request evidence for the sample, showing critical security updates are being maintained. To do that, you would then go back to the Framework tab. You would go to the specific framework requirement related to that test, and then see if there's any Secureframe controls you can add that sample to. Within the test, you can add that test there to then collect the sample evidence. Next, I would like to review exactly how to export all of the evidence from Secureframe. First, I would review the Frameworks tab. Here you can export all of the test evidence, including the automated test evidence CSVs. The evidence is formatted in the structure of framework requirement, control, and test, making it easy to review offline. To export all of the platform-based evidence, you would need to navigate to the data room and hit export data here. All of the platform-based evidence will be exported for your review. If you are looking to review specific evidence, this is where access to the full Secureframe platform comes in handy. I would recommend using the framework page to then deep dive each mapped control and related test to see if the organization is meeting all of the tests related to that particular framework requirement. If the organization is meeting multiple frameworks, you can use the control page to review the mappings across all frameworks enabled in the organization's instance. Moving on to the policies page, you can export and view all policies here within the platform. You could review the content of the policies, the owner, and the publish date. Within the Personnel tab, you can see when each individual last completed security awareness training or acknowledge policies assigned to them. You can also export all of this data here. Within the Vendor Access tab, you can see which personnel have access to which integrated tool and if they are a privileged user or not. Organizations can use this list as a starting point when performing user access reviews. The Risk Management tab will show you all the risks that are currently active within the organization, when they were last reviewed, and by whom. The risk will show the score, any notes from the last review, and the history of the risk, showing when assessments have been performed. In the Vendors tab, you can see all of the vendors the organization has added and their risk score. Each vendor is required to be reviewed, and you can see who performed the review, when it was performed, what was reviewed, and if anything of note was found. In the Vulnerabilities tab, You could see if there are any unresolved vulnerabilities being pulled in from integrated tools, such as AWS Inspector. And that is a general overview of how you use the Secureframe platform as an external auditor. If you have any specific questions or would like to know more about the Secureframe platform, please reach out to partnerships@secureframe.com or any Secureframe contact you are currently working with. Thank you for joining. Next, I would like to show you how you can use Secureframe tasks to communicate back and forth with your client. As you're reviewing evidence, it's possible you'd like to tag the test to be re-reviewed by a client or add a specific task for the client to complete in order to fulfill the requirement of that test. Let's dive into this particular upload test here, where the client's uploaded some evidence. After review, you determine you need to see evidence specifically from a different system, or the date and timestamp needs to be added in the screenshot. Within the test, you can click the Task tab, click Add a Task, and then here you can change the default name, you can add a description, you can assign your point of contact or the owner, and then you can even set a due date. Now the task is added. You can also change the status of the test. In this case, an action is required by the client. So in the overview section under tags, you can create a custom tag. In this case, I've called it action required. Now, back on the test page, in order to filter by tags, you can go to this particular column. You can click this tag. And now all of the tests are going to be filterable by the tags that you've created for the tests. Now, if we navigate to the dashboard and click on tasks, you can now see all of the tasks that have been created. If a customer uploads evidence and completes the task, you can then review the evidence that's been uploaded, navigate to the test, review the additional evidence that's been uploaded, and then complete the test by creating a completed tag or something similar. And that is how you communicate with your customers through Secureframe.